excited to share all the details and answer your questions about the LabStart Fellowship Program. I'll start off by saying I'm Deepa. I'm the CEO of LabStart. I've been working at the intersection of climate, innovation, and finance for the last 18 years. And along with my colleagues, Troy and Megan, are um, really excited to present our fellowship to you. We think it fills in a really important gap in the ecosystem, which is supporting entrepreneurs, especially with deep climate technology innovations at the very beginning stages of their journey. And with that, I will just, with that, I'll let Troy introduce himself, and perhaps Megan as well.
Hey everybody, I'm Troy. I'm the program director and here at LabStart. So LabStart, we're a nonprofit really looking to help diverse entrepreneurs launch next generation of climate startups. And we're really excited to see all of you here today and looking forward to reviewing all of your amazing applications to the program.
Hey, Megan, would you like to introduce yourself? You're muted.
I couldn't get rid of the background fast enough, so I'm still in Christmas mode over here. But I'm Megan Holcomb, part of the LabStart team. Really excited for this launch. This is a combination of many people's passions and work, and not just us here. This is definitely an ecosystem project that we are excited to bring all of you into. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to go over all the details of the fellowship, and leave the second half of it for all of your questions. So excited to answer all those. So, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So let's start off with what is the LabStart Fellowship? The LabStart Fellowship, is an opportunity for you to launch your very own climate technology startup with intellectual property that you select and license, and we will help you with the licensing process from the nation's premier research institutions, which include our national labs and other academic institutions. What will you experience during the LabStart Fellowship? So first off, it is 12 months long. And during that year, you will, along with a cohort of equally passionate and motivated peers, you learn how to start your own business, evaluate the merits and the product market fit of specific technologies. It is a hybrid program, so much of it you can do from the comfort of your own home, but we do have gatherings in real life to form the bonds that can only be done that way. And we've really tailored the program to overcome some of the systemic barriers that we have to entrepreneurship. Every, at the core of our mission and our motivation are accessibility and inclusion. And so we've built our whole program and our partnerships in order to support you with all the things that you need to have and be to be a successful entrepreneur. Okay, so what are we looking for in our LabStart fellows? We are looking for people who are willing to take risks and make mistakes. You will stumble, and that's super normal. We want folks who are coachable and authentic. We want you to want to be here, and the faster we can get to know you, the faster we can help you with all the things that that you may need support with. We want people who are passionate about climate and about entrepreneurship being their paths to their path to success and their path to supporting to their path to helping our planet. We are looking for folks with personal grit and tenacity for success here. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I will repeat this a few times during this, but we want people who are willing and ready to launch a company full time. And so, this will be your full-time job, and your full-time job is starting your own company. So we do ask for that commitment. Do not expect to have another full-time job at the same time, because you won't be able to be all in, and you won't have your best chance of success if you do that. We want folks who are scientifically literate and motivated by technology innovation. So, when we are looking at patents and intellectual property, whether it is, coming up with a new type of biofuel, or, a way to improve our electricity grid, or a new device to accomplish energy efficiency, these are all complex subjects that require an understanding, or at least a willingness to embrace novel concepts and science. And so we are not asking for folks to be scientists. We just at least ask for you to be science minded. And in terms of our goals, we are aiming to recruit people who don't look like traditional founders. We know in order to accomplish our climate goals, we have to expand who can be successful as a founder. And so we are embracing underrepresented founders with open arms, and specifically looking to recruit women, Black, Indigenous, people of color, young parents, and other underrepresented individuals, and especially looking for first-time entrepreneurs as well. So it's a little bit of a delay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So this is a relatively new slide. We didn't present this in our last webinar, but we got so many questions about what stage should I be at to be a great fit for LabStart. And so here are some examples of folks we think might be at an appropriate stage to fully benefit from the LabStart program. Note that none of these are hard and fast rules. These are examples. But if you feel like you are really far off from this and much more, much later stage, then you might not benefit from LabStart. And so the too long didn't read it version is basically the earlier, the more likely you are to be a better fit for LabStart. So here are some examples. We are looking for, people who want to start a climate technology company, but haven't yet found the right idea to pursue. We're looking for entrepreneurs who, maybe you started a company before. Maybe it was in consumer products. Maybe it was a small local business. And now you want to work on a new market, new product, and get into, the climate industry. You could be a researcher who wants to spin out a technology from their lab or university, or maybe a different lab or university. It could be your own technology. It could be even, maybe there's a scientist that a colleague that might not want to leave their academic post, but you believe that there's high potential in their technology. You could be someone who has identified a technology at a research institution, maybe inside your state or maybe outside of your state, but doesn't know how to license or have maybe started like trying to license it, but is struggling with the licensing process that often isn't super straightforward for outsiders. You could also be an early stage company who hasn't quite identified your market and or are still looking for technology to commercialize. If you have already incorporated, um, if you have raised capital pertaining to the specific product or technology you're applying to LabStart, you're probably not a good fit. You're probably later stage, and we encourage you to apply to one of the many accelerators that are downstream from LabStart. So I want to share a specific example from our 2020 pilot, which was our first pilot. Aaron Fitzgerald, when he came into the LabStart Fellowship, he had not previously launched a climate technology company. He had launched a software company in the past, but it wasn't in climate. He entered as an individual, so he had no company incorporated at that time. He also wasn't all in on a particular technology or product vision. He did want to work on carbon capture and utilization generally, but he hadn't decided on a specific piece of IP at the time. He was also a solo entrepreneur. He did not have a co-founder who had the complementary skills that he needed. In his case, he was more of a business co-founder, and he needed a technical co-founder with a deep knowledge base in chemistry. Other folks, that might apply to the program might be technical co-founders that might look for a business co-founder. He also quit his full-time job prior to the fellowship and was super determined to make his climate startup goals a reality. It turns out that determination and hopefully a little bit of LabStart help contributed to a lot of success, which I'll get into in a few minutes. Okay, so the 4 pillars of what the LabStart Fellowship provides are: 1, funding, $100,000 over the year; 2, capacity building, so structure, program, and mentorship, and also a cohort of peers who are on this ride with you. 3, access to networks. It's who you know is as important as what you know as an entrepreneur. And so we want to make sure you are connected to industry, future customers, subject matter experts, and then later stage incubators, as well as who's going to provide that next source of funding for you. Finally, access to technology. This is something that's particularly unique about LabStart. We have searched far and wide in our national labs, have also supported entrepreneurs commercializing and licensing technologies from universities or Department of Defense laboratories. And so we are integrating into curriculum the know-how so that you are prepared to license the technology from those institutions, and we'll also guide you along the way. By the end of the LabStart Fellowship Program, you will have incorporated a startup and validated your technology, market, and product market fit. What's your pathway to commercial success? You will have the initial license or copyright in hand so that you can continue to explore and build your business without risk of someone else snatching it out from under you. And you'll be competitive applicants for some of the many downstream incubators, accelerators, the Greentown Labs, the Activates, and the other accelerators that are available. as well as some of the public and private funding that is that's out there and important. Okay, so we know that 1 year is just the beginning part of your journey. So I want to share, even though each one of you will have your own path and your own goals and your own motivations, you know, one journey of one of our entrepreneurs. Erin Fitzgerald, the person that I mentioned at the very beginning, who came in as a solo founder, and without IP, LabStart helped him get the option to license a carbon capture and utilization technology from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Colorado. This IP allowed him to develop one of the precursors to carbon fiber called acrylonitrile from captured carbon. And after LabStart, he was accepted into Greentown Labs, Venture for Climate, Prime Coalition. He was a Breakthrough Energy Fellow and also was awarded a GRIS 50 Fixer. He successfully raised a pre-seed round of capital and is currently raising his Series A and scaling up in his very own manufacturing facility. And so a quote from him is, "The LabStart unlocked doors to NREL he wouldn't have been able to open otherwise." Okay, now let's get into the program timeline. First, we opened our application in November. We are closing it in January 9th, which is less than a week away. So you have not submitted. We make sure to submit before then. We will select our fellows in the middle of February. And the actual program, if you are accepted, is 2 different phases. There's the launch phase, which is from March to June. And during those first 3 months, it's more intense in terms of business building, curriculum, IP vetting, doing some focused customer discovery. You're finalizing your technology selections. We know that all of you are going to select a technology and identify it before coming into the program, but we want to give you an opportunity to validate that and potentially change if you need to. We'll also provide mentoring and coaching and make sure that you incorporate as a startup. The second phase will be the accelerate phase, which is 9 months long. That will include, your exposure to experts and mentorship. You'll start negotiating your technology. You will start identifying a co-founder. You'll develop a commercialization plan, which is essential for the licensing process. And we want to make sure that you know where your next dollars are coming from so that you can continue building your company. Okay, so here, we didn't get into too much about LabStart as an organization, but here's the team that's going to be working with you on a daily basis. And you met Troy and Megan and myself. We also have John Meissner, who's our president. All of us have experience in the private sector, public sector, and building bridges. We also have a network of partners, including national labs. Sorry, one second. Okay, we have a number of national labs who are very excited to work with all of you. We also have philanthropic organizations who are supporting us. We have 2 corporate philanthropies, including Hewlett Packard Enterprise Foundation and Autodesk Foundation. We have folks from the venture capital community, including Better Ventures. And we have the Department of Energy and the Department of Commerce. And so this is just a small subset of the partners that we have, and we're looking forward to bridging, bridging you with all the partners that are relevant to your success. Okay, so here is the money question. We also got a lot of questions about this $100,000 in funding. And the basics behind that are, this investment is coming from two well-known institutional investors. It will be in the form of an uncapped safe note and will be offered at a 20% discount. We will pay out this investment monthly upon completion of milestones. And then LabStart will receive 2% warrants as compensation for our time and support of you. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail here. And these slides are on the website, so I'm going to go through this quickly, but feel free to read this at your own pace afterwards. So again, the investment's coming from two institutional investors, which is an early vote of confidence. The institutional investors are coming in much earlier than they usually support entrepreneurs. All of the terms are very founder friendly. We looked at comparable other accelerators, but it's uncapped, which means we're not saying that you can't be valued more than a certain amount in future fundraising rounds. That number can be as high as you can attract. We're offering it a 20% discount, and what that means is that for this $100,000 safe note, if at your next round of financing, your preferred stock is valued at $1, your future investors, for example, value your company at $1 per share, then the safe preferred stock issuance is at a 20% discount, 80 cents. And so the number of shares is calculated by taking the $100,000 divided by the 80 cents. And that means that 125,000 shares of the safe preferred stock are issued to the institutional investors. And while the safe note is squarely for the investors, LabStart is going to pour our hearts and souls and lots of time and effort and do everything we possibly can to make sure you are successful. And in exchange for that, we ask for 2% in warrants. And warrants are basically the right to buy share a small percentage of equity at a specific price. And so I'll let you guys read that example. But those are the terms around the $100,000 investment. Okay, so beyond that, in terms of capacity building, we kind of walked through the different phases. We're very excited about the instructors that will be core to this program. They are currently 2 instructors that are teaching at and are supporting the Breakthrough Fellows. And so we're integrating this customer discovery, licensing, technology validation. Also, we want to make sure you're taking care of yourself, that you're ready to build a team, and that you have a sounding board next to you, because entrepreneurship can be lonely, especially at the earliest stages. And so we want you to know that that we are on your team. We also provide access to networks. We want to make sure to, beyond your peers who are going to be a lot of the emotional support, and also different people have different skills, and so as you grow, being able to help each other with very specific things that each of you are good at will be really important in your journey. We're going to bring a bunch of subject matter experts, from academia, from the private sector, legal experts. We're going to bring other founders in so you can hear their stories, what made them successful, what challenges did they face. And then we also have a network of incubators and accelerators that we're excited for you to get to know, so you can decide which ones might be a good fit, and be hopefully have the best chance of getting into. And then access to technology. So LabStart is building sort of the bridge between you and the scientists who actually developed the technology that you are working on. We're doing this through very specific programs in national labs that allow you to spend hours with those scientists and transfer that knowledge in an efficient way. We're also helping guide you through the licensing process with national labs and universities, and providing some financial support for the preliminary licensing agreements that you need with the institutions, and consulting with the inventors. Okay, so here is our commitment slide. Remember that, you are applying to LabStart, and this is going to be, I think, the most fun job you could ever have, because you are going to be building your dream and your business and learning how to commercialize a very exciting technology. But I do want to be very clear that this is a full-time commitment. And so please be ready to clear out your schedule, because building a business is non-trivial, and it's going to take a lot of your effort. So in terms of the actual synchronous LabStart programming, we want you to anticipate around 6 to 8 hours per week of LabStart curriculum, mentorship, team building, and coaching. And so those are going to be times when you need to show up on time and during those times, not later, not recorded for you to watch later, but at the same time. We're also planning 3 to 5 in-person events, with our first one being our kickoff, which will be March 5th to 7th. And I do want you to note that we earlier shared a different date, so make sure to mark or change your calendar so it says March 5th to 7th. If you cannot make it to the kickoff, please do not apply to the program. This is an essential part of the LabStart program, and you are going to learn a lot. You're going to meet each other in person, and we have a really special surprise for you guys during that time. And finally, we want you to put your best effort in. We are committing to you to provide you with all the tools and the instruction and the network you need to succeed, but you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So please bring your best self to the program. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pass it to Troy to share a little bit about the application.
Yeah, so as many of you have probably seen of how you got to this website, you can find all the information, the links to the application at labstar.xyz/apply. And on this link, it takes you to the application, which is broken up into four different sections. The first one being demographics, and this is really focused on we want to get to know you better and who you are. So none of these questions will really be used to filter you in or out of the program, just giving us a better sense to see who you are as a person. And section two focuses on your past experiences. So really helping us understand what have you have done previously, what are you looking for, and what your fit might be for the LabStart program. And the next section, section 3 and 4, are the more in-depth sections, and the primary focus on those is creating a 3-minute video in each of them. And for the self-pitch section, this is a 3-minute video where you'll be answering the questions: what is your story, and why should you be a LabStart fellow? And you don't this doesn't have to be a high production value video. It can be as simple as you recording yourself on your phone or laptop, and uploading that to YouTube or Vimeo or any other video hosting service. And be sure that anyone with the link to that video is able to watch, and you don't have to give additional permissions there. And then for section 4, this is the technology review and pitch. So we have a list of vetted IP that's currently that is linked in the application, and you can either select from that list of IP or select from another university or national lab or other research institution that select an IP that is available to license and use that as the basis for this section of the application. So on top of listing your top 3 pieces of IP you would like to license, creating a 3-minute video where you'll be presenting your initial business ideas around that, the market need for that business idea and this technology, and the impact of that innovation. We want you to be doing a bit of on top of the review and selection of the IP, doing some independent research and some other preparations in order to create a strong video pitch. So expect that this can take up to about 2 hours to do some good in-depth, at least high-level research on the topics if you're not unfamiliar with them. And with that, I see that we have a bunch of questions coming in on the Q&A side, so we can start going through those and answering those. So since this first one from Anya is related to the application, I can take this one. So in question 3 under demographics, are you a US citizen? Is that meant only for citizens, or are US green card holders also qualified to say yes to this question? For green card holders, should we follow the instructions to only focus on non-national lab technology? So um, the US citizen question isn't meant to filter in or out, as long as you have some sort of permanent residence. So if you have a green card, that's great, but go ahead and answer no to that question. It's as we mentioned before, it's just for us to get to know you better. That won't affect you being accepted or not accepted into the program. And with that, while it is possible to license National Lab technology as a non-US citizen, it will be more difficult, and there will be somewhat more hoops to jump through. So if there is a National Lab technology that's really calling to you, that you're really passionate about, go ahead and apply in with that. But if there isn't necessarily something that you're extremely passionate about, I'd focus in on looking at university technologies or other research institutions.
Okay, I see. Babar asked if we have already chosen and developed our climate technology platform and are coming close to work on market fit. We have researched a lot and learned about climate tech and can help our peers. We still need some technology and IP and know-how in some areas. So without knowing, exactly what stage you're in, if you already have your technology in hand and the license to it, um, and you've already developed the product market fit, you might be ready for a different accelerator that's later stage. LabStart is not intending to help with sort of incremental IP support. So I would say you might be um, a little later stage. Megan, it sounded like you also had something to add.
Oh, no, I think that's complete.
Okay, great.
I was just going to take other ones as they pop up. So,
Yep. And then so we had another one from Anya asking about, is there a preference towards certain types of technologies, hard tech versus soft tech? There isn't a huge preference. The biggest thing is that the technology is being licensed from an outside source. So if you look on that IP list that we have, there are some technologies that are more software focused than hard tech focused. As long as there is that licensing component from it, um, licensing component to it, it would fit with the program.
You want to take Leilani's question, Troy?
Yeah, and then so what is the structure and focus of curriculum? What are some examples of sessions, and what is the schedule, frequency, time commitment, etc.? So the structure and the focus is really looking at how do you build the basics to your company? How are you taking the IP that is just a technology in a lab right now and words on a page with some lab work done, and actually, how do you take it to a product that is that actually wants to be used by customers and that customers actually want? And how do you build a company around a lot of that? So that is where a lot of it focuses in on. So things like customer discovery, and how to talk to different customers to kind of gauge what are the problems that they need solved, um, and things like that. Around that are some examples of the sessions that we're going to be focusing in on. So not necessarily doing technology development, but how are we turning that technology into something useful, and how do we build a business around that? And what is the schedule? The schedule and frequency. So um, we mentioned in the deck it will be, I believe it was 5 to 7 hours,
It's
um,
data.
uh, 6 to 8 hours per week of LabStart curriculum. But that's mainly just the time with structured time with the LabStart team and with the other fellows. You are still expected to be doing um, hours outside of that to supplement that curriculum, that 6 to 8 hours per week of curriculum time.
or can I add something to that
Mhm.
around curriculum? One thing we did spend a lot of time on really figuring out the type of not just what the topics of the curriculum will be, but what the the ethos and the underlying values of this program will be. So we have, as Deepa mentioned, two really exciting curriculum leads that are helping build a unique curriculum for LabStart that really centers the human journey in this. So this is also a place of growth as an entrepreneur in whatever direction you might go, and there will be very concrete, more technical aspects of both building market fit, the product, your company, but also personal growth opportunities. So there's the journey is the purpose. The you are centered at this curriculum, and the impact of product, the impact on the planet, and then the impact through profit are all surrounding elements of the curriculum. So just know that there's a lot of thought going into how how this curriculum is being built and delivered that has a very holistic approach.
Yeah, and as we go through the program, we also are going to get feedback from all of you to make sure that we are making any necessarily and any adapting to your needs and making sure it is as useful as possible. I mean, along with our one-on-one coaching that we're already building into the program. Megan, would you like to take Joseph
Sure.
Cow's question?
So the question is, does LabStart only advise the licensing process from the national labs or academic institutions in the US? What about those outside of the US? And yes, for the purposes of this program, we are focused on US technologies. That is part of the system that we are building bridges between the entrepreneurship world and our US-based innovation ecosystem. So that is a mission of LabStart, and at the moment just don't have the capacity to build those bridges outside of the US. So there's a lot of work to do in-house here. I think if you have a technology that's being brought from outside of the US that that wouldn't allow us to utilize the relationship that we have with the ecosystem in the US, and might not be as potent of a program for you. Yeah.
David asked a little bit more a question about the safe and the warrants. One, I do encourage you to go back and look at the slides so you can look at them in more detail. But with safe notes, the reason that it is structured that way is because we don't want to put a valuation on your company earlier than we need to. So the whole point of it is so that we can get money in your pockets earlier, and then whenever you do have an institutional round of financing, whatever price that ends up being ends up sort of influencing the value of the safe note. And so because these institutional investors are taking a risk earlier, and you then a future round, they get a discount. And so that's just relative to whatever price your future round is getting. And so the same sort of principle applies for warrants. The point is we are not saying how much your company should be valued during the LabStart program. We are waiting until you go through the normal processes of financing your company and going and making sure it is as flexible as we can possibly make it, because our goal is to put you in the best position and make sure that our program is as founder friendly as possible. And then regarding Johnny's question, in case he said, in case I missed out the $100,000 investment, we're paying ourselves our living expenses for the year, and how do we break that down? So we want to make sure, like a very important part of building an equitable program is allowing you to pay for at least the minimal expenses in your life to keep you afloat, whether that's rent, whether it's childcare, it's food, it's and we want to make sure that while we know $100,000 isn't like a hugely luxurious amount, it should at least be enough for you to pay for all of your basic needs so that you can concentrate on building your business. And so how you spend that is really up to you. But the goal here was to make sure that you can quit your job to start your company. So that's it there. Okay, we got another question on, is the safe from LabStart from Paul? Paul asks, is the safe from LabStart or other investors? The safe note is from 2 institutional investors. Troy, do you think we can reveal our
One
investors?
of them we can say one of them has confirmed that we can say their name. It's Better Ventures. Is the one that we're still working on finalizing the deal with the other one that so we're not allowed to say their name publicly yet, but once that is finalized, they will be announced.
So we have commitments, just not the ability to share them with publicly yet. Uh, mm, Megan, do you want to, or Troy, you want to take our fellows matched with co-founders?
Yeah, so you aren't necessarily matched with a co-founder, but as you come into the program, you aren't required to have a co-founder. If you have one, great, but if not, no problem at all. But as part of the program, we want you to identify if you need a technical co-founder, we want to help you find that technical co-founder. And while we aren't going to be matching you with somebody, we're going to be helping you along the journey of identifying that person, going through different networks to what are the requirements, how do you bring on a co-founder, and things like that. So really working with you to find out your needs for that co-founder and how to help you identify them.
Hey, we got a question. What is your acceptance rate? And since we don't quite know how many people are applying, we don't know what our denominator is. So we will report that back to you after, in the springtime.
Yeah, but we will be accepting 8 fellows.
Can you elaborate on the financial support on the licensing agreement that you just mentioned? Troy, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so when you're doing the licensing process, there are additional fees that are incurred around the licensing if you need to bring in legal experts to do so. And we don't want all of these additional fees to be eating into the $100,000 that you should be spending on your life necessities. So LabStart will also be providing some financial support in for those fees as well, whether that be supporting the legal fees or supporting on the fees to the labs that you'll be licensing from. And this can range on the order of magnitude from around $5,000 to $10,000 per entrepreneur.
Megan, do you want to take the next one, which is Sunil's
Sure.
for the process and criteria for narrowing down the universe of IP to the current list?
Yeah, and I've been trying to answer others at the bottom of the list as well, just looking at the time. So there's some we just wanted to answer live. So the process of narrowing the IP was both an internal and an external process of basically combing the public-facing websites that the DOE has on. We've shared that in the application as well. Excuse me. There were many both funding, subject matter expert, academic partners that had provided their own input and shortlist of technologies that they were interested throughout the past year that we were gathering. So that helped build kind of a direction. We had a lot of our external partners comment on particular fields of interest that they felt were ready and pretty ripe with IP to search into. There wasn't a particular commitment to any climate tech vertical for this round. In following years, we might focus on explicitly entire cohorts on particular technology verticals, and that this was more of an open scope climate technology general. There were several commercialization, both experts and internally on our team, that we went and reviewed every single IP for the readiness, the the potential impact of that technology, which is not always listed with the patent. And then once we took this long laundry list of technologies that seemed like great options, we had our board and external ecosystem basically comment and vote on all of them, which provided that short list. So this is absolutely a blend of, this is art and science. This is not a clear, hey, this technology is going to be a winner. That is why this fellowship exists, for you to be excited about a particular field and do that. It takes a lot of research, so that we did this search up front, which allows more of a jumping off point for an individual to do a deeper dive in the program.
Yeah, we can never replicate the customer discovery process that
Right.
each of you are going to do. And so we've integrated that into the earlier parts of our program to make sure that you are speaking to your potential customers about this particular application or this particular technology and making sure that it has the market potential that we initially saw and got other experts to validate, at least initially. Um, so then Paul asked a question about the safe note. Are the two institutional investors going to be on the cap table when the safe converts, or is LabStart the manager of those? So the two institutional investors will be on your cap table. They will have a direct relationship with you. You will also meet them early on. And then LabStart, if we exercise the warrants, LabStart would be on our cap table if we exercise those warrants. Okay, Patrick.
Oh, sure. Oh, I'll take that one. I answered a similar question already as well in text. But none of the technology licenses are exclusive at this stage. All of these, so we're basically utilizing existing relationships and deeper relationships with the national labs to accelerate the licensing process alongside you, and guide you through that process with others who can help an individual that's never engaged with that system navigate the process. And so until any of these technologies are licensed, they're not exclusive to LabStart to start. So these are all of the technology that is listed in the shortlist in the application have been confirmed as available by the labs. So we have, at this point in time, confirmed that these are available, and don't have other people working on them at the moment. But once you select a technology to move forward with, LabStart initiates that process to make sure the lab knows that there's interest in connecting you with the scientists to form a deeper relationship, which is important for that process.
Yeah, and we're going to encourage you, as soon as you have validated that that is the technology you're going to move forward with, for you to at least get the option to license, which is a faster process, but gives you the hold on that particular license while you continue doing your research and your work.
I'll also name on the same topic, Bettina asked a question that I was working to answer, but it is an important question, which is, she asked, if you select a technology at the application, do you have to stick with it for the program, or is that for the pitch only for the application? And I wanted to be very clear that the technology that you select for the application, you are not 100% committed to that. You are going to, we would like to assume that technology interests you, or that field interests you, and that we will help guide you through the rapid IP assessment, technology market fit that what you would be doing on your own, and make sure that we can accelerate that process as well, so that you do land on a technology to wrap a business around. So we anticipate that many people, the technologies that you select in the application will likely not be the technology you actually move forward with, or we're expecting that.
I love this question from which is, what is something you learned from a previous cohort, and how did that affect the program design for this cohort? I would say one of the biggest things that we learned was, at first we didn't have people come in with a selected technology, and that we learned that if you don't come in with at least a starting point, that you could spend your whole year searching for a technology. And so this is why we are requiring that you come in with at least your starting point. We're not making you sign your name in blood on it, but we're making sure that you have been thoughtful and identified something you're excited to go forward with. I only have 5 minutes left here, and so many questions left. It sounds like the fellowship participants do not need expertise in the technology they would be working on. Is that accurate? Do you want to answer that, Troy?
Yeah, so you don't need expertise in this in the exact technology, because especially since many of you aren't going to be the scientists who worked on that IP, but we expect you to be doing the as you doing some work upfront to become familiar with the area you're looking to work in and the technology. But as you come into the program and work with this technology and in this technology area, becoming an expert in that area through by doing all the market research and the customer discovery in there. And we don't necessarily expect you to become the technological expert as well. If you need to bring in someone who has their PhD in a certain field, or has 10 years industry experience in a certain field, and bring them on as a co-founder later on down the line, we'll support you in doing that as well, and helping you identify those characteristics that you're going to need to continue on your journey there.
Yeah, I will say we are opening up the like what's expertise wider, so like if you're working on a mechanical solution, if you have like broken apart a car and put it back together in your garage as a teenager, that would be amazing. If you are working in electrical technology, if you are an electrician, it's fine if you're not a PhD in electrical engineering. That is really relevant. And so think about the things you have done that are relevant to make your application stronger, even if they aren't traditionally considered expertise. Okay, so we have 3 minutes. I'm gonna just try and do like a lightning round and figure out like how many questions we can answer in the next 3 minutes. Okay. After 12 months, is there any way to stay involved with the cohort and mentors? We are expecting to have an alumni program, and we do keep in touch with Aaron Fitzgerald, for example, very regularly. David asked, I was looking at additional technologies and lawpartneringservice.org, but I didn't see indication on the profile pages whether they are licensable. Are all the technologies there licensable? Megan, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I think I just answered another one for David similarly. I didn't see indications of all the technologies that are listed publicly are considered licensable and available. LabStart did an extra layer of inquiry to confirm whether that's true, because those lists are not 100% up to date. So I want to say yes, but they're not fully. I don't know how often they're updated. So some of those may not be, but the majority are. And if you are interested in a particular technology, that's not on our list, please do go ahead and pitch that, and we will do the work after the fact. We're looking more for the person and the passion and the fit, more so than the perfectly ready IP. So
Alicia asked if there's an opportunity to raise outside funding during the fellowship timeline. Is that something LabStart would support and provide advice on? Absolutely. We want you to talk to all the supporters and all the investors and get the money in as quickly as you possibly can. And we want to help you to do that. What's the story of the LabStart team? Where the idea for the program originate? Oh, such a hard question to answer, but I think we all just saw people working in silos, and were disturbed by the lack of diversity in both founders and technologies that actually got commercialized, and decided to do something about it. So voila, a few years later came LabStart. And then how much prior experience with a certain technology would you prefer applicants to bring? I think that is, I don't think we have a hard and fast rule about that. You share everything that is relevant, that is going to make your application stronger. And then David Kirschbaum, we are working with a second pilot cohort of another 4 entrepreneurs currently. And then did we answer all the questions?
I think there's one at the very top from Tenny Ann asking, how in depth should our business idea in section 4, the technology component, be? Should we provide an overview or provide details? So you only have 3 minutes for this section, so it doesn't have to be the most in-depth thing. Just being able to effectively communicate your ideas around this IP effectively communicate those at a high level so that you can set enough information to comprehend and understand in 3 minutes. So no hard and fast rules there. If you want to go through slides, you can, not necessary, but just being able to share that as best you can.
With that, we want to respect your time and say thank you, everyone, for joining us, for taking the hour with us. Remember, applications are due on January 9th. And you can go find the application at www.labstart.xyz/apply. And there's not only the application, but a lot of other information in there. So please review it, and hopefully you'll find everything you need to know. Good luck with the applications, everyone, and we look forward to seeing them on the other side.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.